Howdy, y'all. So, my name is Kelly Monroe, and Julian Barker and I run the Area 1 Region 3 Texas BPA Regional Leadership Conference. So, basically, we cover like the Dallas, Fort Worth, like basically Frisco, Texarkana type area. This year at our Regional Leadership Conference, we have over 1,600 students competing in these real world events from BPA. So we are so excited that we have grown. You, as a judge, are the absolute most important person besides our students in this entire project, because you guys have the really, really hard job of helping us figure out who the best of all these students are. And I promise you, these kids, you will have your faith restored in this generation. These kids are amazing. They are so talented and so bright. You're really going to have a hard time helping us figure out which of the best should move on. But I'm going to walk you through some processes, tell you some tips and tricks that I have used in my 20 years of BPA, because I have been in your shoes, okay? So the first thing is you're going to get a login for this website. So Julie is the person that does the judges. I do a lot of the technical stuff behind the scenes. She's our main face of BPA. So she will be the one that's going to send you this link along with a username and password. So I have made one because I'm needing that for this. So we can see I have quite a few things that I have been assigned to grade. Okay, we're going to talk about two events. I'm going to do global marketing and Extemp. Now, I will tell you, when you look at this, you might get scared thinking there's only a couple kids who've turned things in. How's this going to be so hard? Our students still have roughly 18 hours that they can turn work in. So there will be a lot by the time you guys roll around, but they still have time to get their projects in. They are working on them frantically tonight, I promise. Okay, so you want to make sure you've got this document up, because a lot of the questions, things I'm going to go over are also in here, but I'm going to go ahead and pick on global marketing team. So we can see I've got two different parts. Sometimes people will click on presentation. If you have a technical and a presentation, please always click on technical first. Some events like Extemp don't have it, so that's fine. But if you see, oh, global, I've got technical and presentation. If the event has what we call a technical part, all the students turned everything on that technical side. So that's where you're going to find their work. So I'm going to go ahead and click on global marketing team. Each of these headers are sortable. So I had sorted originally by attachments, so I could see who's turned things in. So we can see here I have a few that have turned things in. I'll talk about the yellow red here in just a second. Up at the top, you do have some judges guidelines that we are giving to you. So the first one right here that I want to talk about is this one, which has all of the information about the event that the students were given. So we can see here they're supposed to develop a marketing plan that has all of those things. It's not limited to, but it should include. We can see what the topic is. So they have to go and capitalize on a growing trend of aerial photography. And like that's the topic. Like I said, these kids are really, really smart. Along with what they have to bring and stuff when they come in person. And that kind of thing. The specifications, the students understand what that is, but that basically is helping that rubric being broken down. So they know all of this. The part that I like to make sure I look at is the length of the event, so I know how long the presentation can be. For the way we are doing this level of regionals, you don't have to worry about setup because they're turning everything in virtually to you. They all automatically get that if it's on the rubric. And they're not going to be able to answer judges' questions at this level. Now, if they make the next level, because you're going to help us figure out who the top 6 are, they're going to come present in person in January, live in front of new judges, or maybe you guys are coming back to help grade finals, and if you are amazing and I love you. Then they'll have 5 minutes to answer your questions. But for this round right here, they're all going to get those points if they're on the rubric that they have answered your questions. They did not have the questions ahead of time, so they could not have answered them, and so we're just going to go ahead and give them that. What's then going to happen is after all of this, and you have scored all of these presentations and all the plans or whatever it is you have to score, the top 6 are going to come to our regionals in person in January, and they're going to present again live and in front of judges. So they get that feeling in their stomach of having to present in person. They can't stop the recording and start it over because they messed up. They have to go and present again. Just because that's how our state conferences run, we want those kids to have that same kind of, tight gut, I have to talk to a person feeling. If they do really well and they make the top 2, then they move on to our state level and they do the whole process again. They will have to present twice in person at state. If they do well again, like for this one, it said right here, Each state's going to have 3 entries. The top 3 will move on to our national conference, and they do it all again to see who gets the top 10 in the nation. So they get lots of practice the further up they move through the chain. Please remember, this is the very first time some teams have ever done this kind of work. This is the first time they've ever tried to present, and this might be the first time they've ever done this contest. So we are that first level, so we tend to be a little more helpful at the regional level than at the state or the national level. Next thing I have is I've got a works cited page, so I can see what my works cited page should look like. It does need to be formatted the way that it says on here, and we always give everyone the copyright and fair use guidelines so you can see what they are. And the other thing that's on here is a marketing plan that does have to be formatted a specific way, so you can see exactly how the students were told to format it. Most of them have points on the rubric that they did format these things that way, so that's why we've given them to you. So when you log in, they're all going to be yellow, which is I need you to grade me. Red means you started an evaluation, but you haven't finished it. So I started this one because I recorded and had to start over. And then green would mean I did an evaluation, I hit save, and I'm ready to move on. Okay, so green means go, red and yellow, not so good. Okay, a few things that you have to do on here is you will have to go ahead and go and click for you at yellow or red, so you can see what the students have turned in. So some students will turn in PDFs, some will turn in PDFs as well as links, and some may just turn in links. Students are told that they can turn things in multiple different ways. And so if they have a link to a drive where it has their video presentation, that's fine. They can actually do that. And I'll show you what a link looks like here in a second, but there's no more copying and pasting. Yes. Okay. I'm not going to open this because this is a real team with student work, and I don't want to share their awesomeness in the video because there could be other spies around. Okay. But I do want to go over how the rubric works. Now, all the rubrics will have something similar at the very top. Did they violate the copyright and fair use guidelines? Did they follow the topic? So if they violated the guidelines and they hit yes, you can see it says DQ. Make sure that you do contact Julie Barker if you have to hit that button or if they did not follow the topic. You won't be able to just save this with a score of 0. I have to do things on the back end, but I cannot do that if Julie is not told, hey, this team followed last year's topic. Because if you're one of our awesome judges, you've probably judged for us before, which we love you even more. But we do need to make sure that we know that so we can set things up behind the scenes. Yes, they get 0 points, but that's just kind of the stopping point. If they violated copyright, then there's no point in moving on. If they didn't follow the topic, there's no point in wasting your time watching their video. Some things are going to be all or nothing, so we could see here, did it follow the marketing plan and the works cited? Is it formatted correctly? It's saved as a PDF? Yes, they did. We're going to say they did. So then the rest of these, we can see there are a mix of numbers. So developed a pricing strategy. I can go through and click, and I can go and just randomly pick some numbers. I'm not going to save this, don't worry. But I could go through and it will keep the score down here telling me how many points they got out of the maximum of 230 points. Okay. Down here at the bottom, we can see that there's a spot for comments. We can see there's a spot for comments right here. These comments are going directly to our students, okay? So we want to make sure that we are phrasing this in a way that we remember we're talking to teenagers, that we're nice and we're helpful and we're building these kids up. We have some students that will do these events for 4 years and they will never get past that first level of competition. And we have some students that'll be the very first time they do it and they are that top 10 on the stage of nationals. These comments really, really, really mean a lot to our students. Back before we had this system last year, I would have to get stamped letters from you judges. My kids would come every single class period after we would get back. Are my comments back yet? Are my comments here? Has the mail come today? Have you checked your mailbox, Miss Monroe? So they are desperate for your feedback. They would love to know, what did you like? What did they do well? What do they need to work on? Hey, you stated this is your position and you never defended it. You explained why it was the correct position, but you never said other things, or you never said why it was the better of the alternatives that you posted. So you want to make sure that you are helping them see the flaws in their plans and you are helping building them up. Okay, so remember, these do go directly to the students and we are always trying to help them. Okay, I am going to ask that when it comes to the recording part of the grading for the presentation, that you don't count off or be affected in any way if we have a student with a professional camera set up who recorded themselves with a big TV doing their presentation, a team maybe crammed in front of their Chromebook doing a presentation, or a team that did Zoom. They had to use the technology tools that were available to them in their school. So that part should not be a factor of the presentation. It should be based on their content, their speaking ability, their preparedness, and things of that nature. It should not be on the technology tools that they used. And don't put that in the comments either. It would have been better if you would have had a full studio rig. Well, their school may not be able to do that, so we're not going to hold or penalize our students for that. Once I'm done with all this, I'm going to hit the save. And then I can go back through, and if I hit the save, it should take me to the next person, or I may have to go back and hit the back. I kind of can't remember. I don't want to save my score and mess up the scoring for this event, okay? So as I'm all done, once they're all green, I can go ahead and hit submit evaluations, okay? But let's just say as I am going through, I need to go back and maybe see how they are ranked. So when I'm going through and I'm watching the videos, I keep notes on paper right next to me. And I will go and put, team 282 was the one that talked about the river. And 10452 talked about this. And this one had the bow tie. So that way I kind of keep a record of the different teams, because after I've watched quite a few of these presentations, they start to run together and I may not remember which one was which. One of the reasons that I do that is because I will eventually, when I'm all done, sort by their score. Okay? It's really important that I do go back and look over my scores, because no ties can exist. Okay, I cannot have two 82s. No ties can happen. So I will go through and do that, and then I usually write the scores down as I'm going through so I can make sure that I don't have any ties. Okay? Sometimes people like to grade the technical part all down and then grade the presentation part. For this event, because I do have both, the presentation part's not going to have anything. So I'm going to show you what I mean. So this is the presentation part. This is that same team. When I hit continue evaluation, you'll notice there's nothing here. I have to have that technical part open so I can see that judge's recording that they have given me. So I personally, on this platform, like to grade a team's technical and judged video. And then I move to the next one. And then I move to the next one. You're going to find what works best for you. And honestly, whatever works best for you, we are perfectly fine with. But the ties can't happen. And the tie can't be for the two scores combined. So if they made an 82 here and a 95 here, and this team made an 82 but made a 93, their total score is not a tie, so it'll be okay. That's part of the reason that I keep a spreadsheet with me and I go and type all that up so that I can make sure I don't have any ties in the final part. If I just make sure that there's no ties in technicals and no ties in presentation, if there is a tie when you add the scores together, when you go back and you hit submit evaluations and I put it all in, if there's a tie, I will send it back to you because I do all the back end part, and I'll go and let you know, hey, you have a tie with your stuff, you're going to have to go back and fix it. If I have time to go back and look, I may say, oh, it was team 15-282 and 15-10-5-482. So that way you know which team is better. I need to make sure that I go and fix. Part of the reason I also take the notes is when I go back and I score them, I want to make sure that those top 6 kids, those top 6 teams are the ones that I really wanted to be the top 6. There's been a few times where I will lay everything out because I lay all my stuff kind of out in order and I put them all in, that I'll realize, oh, this team is 4th place. They really need to be 2nd place. They were the second best ones. I need to go back in that rubric and edit those scores and bump them up. I can't go past the maximum points on the rubric. So if 20 was the most I could put in a category, I can't bump it past that. But I can play with that rubric any way I want to until I hit the max or the minimum. Okay? Once I'm all done with that, I'll hit submit. It comes to yours truly. I do a bunch of stuff on the back end, and then later on in January, I will hit the button and notify all the kids, hey, congratulations, you get to come play again with our judges, or I'm so sorry you didn't. And then when we're all done with our conference at the end of January, I do submit all those scores and all that feedback back to the kids so they can see what did the judges like, what do they feel that I could work on again. So the one I want to talk about here is extemp. So we can see here, you do have the prelim, which has got the different topics the kids were shown, along with the key, which again, I can't show you, but it's here. And so when I go and I click on this one, the reason I have this one saved is because he's got the PDF, but he also has a link to where his judge's presentation was. So in that team that I was showing for Global Marketing Team a second ago, they just had the PDF that you had to download and click. This one just gave us the straight link, and we can see it is an actual hyperlink that I can click. But again, I'm not going to because I don't want to show off his work. So you can go through and see, same thing, it's got the rubric, so I can go through and do it. And then right here, all kids are going to get these points because they did not have to do setup and all of that. And then comments, I'm going to give them that feedback back, and I'm going to hit save evaluation. When I'm all done, you send it all to me, and I will take care of it. The last thing I do want to put is, let's just say I click that link and it doesn't work. So you have a couple options. You should call, email, or text Julie Barker. So she handles this part usually because I'm so busy handling all those scores, and let her know, okay, 15282 and Global Marketing Team does not work. If you can give us the kids' names, the advisor email and name, because that should have been something the kids told you, please put that in the email or the text when you tell us. It'll save us time from going back and finding that information. Usually what will happen, because we are the very, very first level of competition, we will tell the kids and the advisor, hey, you have X number of hours to get this corrected. And then we will come back and let you know, hey, little Connor Monroe has fixed his presentation, so you should have access now. We do have to remember these are students. They do make mistakes. Sometimes this is the very first time and they've learned share settings for the very first time ever. So we do want to make sure that we give them that chance to correct and fix it. Okay? Again, remember that we are giving that feedback back. We do want to make sure that we are trying to help build up those students. And then the last one is there's no video presentation. I have the marketing plan for Global, but I don't have the video. Again, reach out and let Julie know, because we will handle some stuff on the back end to find out if it was a mistake. Did something happen? We did have issues with Google when we were turning stuff in. We think we've caught all the mistakes, but let Julie know so that she can take care of all of that. This is the year of 2022. We're about to go to 2023. So we do need this information done fairly quickly. So that we can go through and release information and give kids time to get things done and corrected before we tell who gets to move on. I do hope that this information was helpful. If you've got questions, feel free to email Julie Barker. You can also email Kelly Monroe, and my email is monroek@friscoisd.org. So it's MUNROK@friscoisd.org. If I can't help you, believe me, I will send you to Julie. We do hope that you have a lot of fun with this. I promise you, having gone through and helping my teams and mentoring them through this process, these kids are so smart. But help us figure out who those top 6 are so we can kind of narrow it down to the top 2 to move on to our state conference. Our state conference is in the Dallas-Fort Worth area this year. So if you are interested in judging again, let Julie know. She has contacts with the judge coordinator for state and can definitely get you in contact with them to come help judge again. Because I promise, if you've judged for us before, if you judged last year, or if you judge this year, you are more than qualified to judge again at our state leadership conference. Thank you so much again for taking the time to help us figure out who the best of the best are. And I'm extremely excited to see what your feedback is on these amazing and wonderful children.